Hi, and welcome back. Today, just an update here, kind of a little bit. I've gotten my cast off, and the cast, I've had 3 casts on, and each one, dang, hair won't stay down. Anyway, I've had 3 casts on. This right here is just a splint, wrist splint, or a carpal tunnel glove, which is enough. But the physical therapist told me that, like I suspected, that it was probably nerve pain that was in my hand so bad now I can't hardly do anything with it. It's almost impossible to see. There's that scar right there. You see the line of it right there. You can't hardly see the actual scar, but you can see the line of it right through there where it's at. They took this bone out, took one of them out, turned one, I think he said they turned one around, turned it from going this way to this way, and then fused it with the other bones right there, and put 2 staples in there. And, well, it hurt so bad the other day, and it still does, that I got him to set me up an appointment for a CT scan. Didn't take 10 minutes to do it. And I was worried that I may have done something to this, because I'm bruised and battered from one end to the other, and half the time I don't know what happened. To me, I take a shower, I find 2 or 3 new bruises. How the heck I get them? Don't know. But anyway, that's what I was thinking, that I may have bumped it and done something to separate the bones, to break the fusion and everything else, the bonding from them. But no, they was all fine. So when I went to the physical therapy that he sent me to, she started rubbing around, and I told her right there, I said, right there is it raw as a hamburger. She said, okay. So yeah. And she went to rubbing up my arm and got up to there and said, does that hurt? And when she rubbed it, I said, yeah, it hurts down here. She said, yeah. Said that cast has put pressure on that spot right there, and it's been constant pressure on it, and it's aggravated that nerve. Said it may take a month or more to calm down. I said, okay. As long as it's just nerve damage and not soft tissue, well, it could soft tissue and everything, and as long as it's not bone. And I said, I can't bend it anyway to amount to anything. It just won't bend. Not like this. It just won't bend. It's stiff and sore and everything else when I try to. So it will stretch out eventually. But he said 6 weeks before I took the surgery that I'd be back at it. I figured that would be, 6 weeks. I'll be able to have the cast off. I'll do a little PT and get everything going and see what I can do. Well, I stayed in the cast nearly 12. So that's the reason my arm's hurting, or my hand, everything. You can pull on it just a little bit, and it'll hurt like everything, or push on it, or try to get it. So, but what am I going to do? It's life. I just wanted to make sure that I hadn't done something to his handiwork. And when I got the CT, so nerve pain, I understand. I deal with that enough. So anyway, put this on there, kind of slows down me bending it, or takes some of the impact off of it. So, but with that being said, I have kind of, since I've got the cast off, and I do it real gently and easily, and between the PT, I doing the stretches for physical therapy for my hand, I have to rock my shoulders back to keep it off of this nerve that runs down. It comes under goes up your head, brain up there, and that's probably what hurts, is the echo from my holler head going all the way down. Probably it. But anyway, I've not been shirking any duties a little bit there. I've kind of straightened up a little bit here. At least I don't, I can get in the door now. And so with that, I've kind of been piddling around, putting handles on a few knives that I already had ready. I had knives ready last year that I didn't have time to put handles on and stuff like that. So that's what I'm doing now, as much as I can anyway. So here's a little one that's still, I haven't done anything other than that, so I'll have to pick it off when I get to, pick the glue off there, which it will. This is elk. This is elk, and it was bleached white and cracked, so I had to dye it and smooth it up, and I put liners on it, everything. So yeah, it's just piddling around doing. It beats sitting in the house doing absolutely nothing except, well, watching YouTube. And so, but anyway, with that being said, now on to a different note here. My son, my youngest, is 35, I think, yeah, something like that. I don't know how old I am half the time, but anyway, he was carjacked the other night at gunpoint. He had let his family, his wife and his daughter, out at her dad's, and they only live about 200 feet apart. And he let them out, so they was going to go in there and see her dad. He wasn't doing. He fell here a while back with the ice and busted his head, and he's still kind of out of it. So anyway, she's going to check on him, took a grandbaby with her. So he's in the truck, and he said, well, I'm going to the truck. And she said, well, we'll walk up in a little bit, no matter. They had street lights up there. So he pulls up, after letting them out, he pulls up about 60 feet and goes to his mailbox. He's got the window down, and he's got the light on, and he's looking at mail and everything else like that. And the back door of his 4-door pickup, it's a Honda Ridgeline, so I guess a pickup. So with that, the back door on his truck, passenger side, was snatched open, and the fella stuck a gun in there at him and said, let's go. And he hadn't rolled or come up to speed enough to reset the door locks. And he didn't think about it in his own driveway that he would never need to lock the doors back after they got out. Once you get up to, I think it's 30 mile an hour, 25 or 30, the vehicle automatically locks all 4 doors. So anyway, he'd only been, just like I said, about 60 feet. And my son carries a gun every day of his life. If you see him, he's got a gun on him. But they was on him so fast and so unexpectedly that he didn't have a chance to get it. There's one up front with him, a female, and one in the back seat with a gun. And he had a box for another gun. And so anyway, they said, take us to this place, and where it's at, it's kind of, it's off the beaten path a little bit, but it's not, you can't see it from here, but I know where it's at, and I know how secluded it is out there. And it's not a quarter of a mile off a main highway. I mean a main 4-lane highway out there. It's just, I don't know, less than a quarter of a mile. As a matter of fact, once it goes down far enough, it turns and comes back up and crosses the 4-lane. And anyway, so, but there's nobody that lives out there. There's just hay fields and a few houses scattered back in the woods there. So she's up there with him. I don't know if she had a weapon or not, but anyway, all of this started by a domestic disturbance. I don't know when, where, who, how, what. That's what the paper said, that nobody knows why until the paper come out. And now you know that it started with a domestic, situation there. And the feller stole guns. He'd been in prison before. He was only 21, so now he's going to be convicted of carjacking, felony, going to have a weapon while in possession of a federal crime of carjacking. And he had a pocket knife in there. He got charged for the pocket knife, and he got charged for the other gun. I don't know what she got charged with for that. But anyway, when he took Cassidy, my youngest, and you seen him on last year's Blade Show footage, I believe. Anyway, he's a big youngin', about 300 pounds, and there ain't a whole lot of fat on him. It's all muscle, and so it's hard to imagine that you could, up till he was about 7 or 8 years old, you could about hold him up to the light and see every bone in him. He was an albino and a little bit skinny thing. You couldn't fatten him up for nothing. Now he's like me. He just looks at the plate of food and gains 15 pounds. But anyway, so he's taking them to this place over there. And so they was talking about taking them to another place that was even more secluded than this. And he had on his seatbelt because he hadn't got out of the vehicle. When he let his wife and daughter out. Hadn't done anything like that. Hadn't, like I said, still had mail in here. And so he, when they wanted him, started talking about him taking it somewhere else, he slammed the brakes on. And I mean, he slammed them. She went into the dash. He went into the front of the seat like that and let his guard down. And Cassidy come out and stuck his gun in his face and said, "Get out." And he said, "No, you're going to take." He said, "There's going to be something happen here if you don't get out." He said, "One of us is going to die." He said, "I know my gun works. Not too sure about yours, but I am sure of mine." So they got out. And he made them put down the gun, and he dropped it in the front seat there. And with the phone that he stole a phone, stole a gun. He had another gun. Cassidy knew he had that, and because he'd seen it, it was a Glock that he had, kind of concealed there. And so when they got out like that, he took off. He didn't even wait for them to shut the doors. He took off. And I don't know, they was screaming at him and everything else like that, and his window was down, and he could hear them screaming and carrying on at them. So, and he knew they had another gun. Said, "That's all I need is to get shot up in the vehicle running from them." So he threw the gun and the phone out in the hay pasture. So, and he boogied on and called 911 and got them and set everything in motion. And they was trying to find them and everything else. And I think one of them relative, I think it was, or maybe, anyway, they went and they tried to break into another house, in the basement of another house, tried to break in, and the person opened the door and stuck a gun in their face and set them down and called 911 and told them that she had them here because she had a scanner. She'd heard this. I don't know why that she would have thought that they'd come to her. I don't know. I don't remember I don't know if she was a member of their family, extended family, or whatever. But this boy's 21 years old, and his life's gone. And she's 30-something years old, so, and she was in it. She was complicit with, so she there while he was doing it. She didn't do anything to stop it. So she's complicit with it. That's a hell of a word, complicit. And so that's what they're doing with that. They're going to go to the trial. I don't know when, but anyway, they're remanded. Well, so, but they get to go to big boy school. Now, I'd say he'd be gone for life with that, unless he pleads out to something else, saying I was high on drugs or something like that, to give him some sort of excuse, to not be himself. But his self was pretty bad if he's already spent good time in jail. So anyway, I'll keep everybody updated. So till next time, it's Bobby Shields saying, God bless.